What if I told you that the life you're working so hard to maintain, the mortgage, the car, the occasional holiday, is actually getting further away from you every single year? Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the system you were taught to trust is quietly, mathematically failing you. Right now, in 2026, Australia is one of the wealthiest nations on Earth by total asset value, and yet millions of everyday Australians are working longer hours, taking second jobs, skipping holidays, and still falling behind. Here's the number that should keep you up at night. The top 10% of Australian households earn more than 6 times what the bottom 20% earn. And that gap is not closing, it's accelerating. So today, on Synaptic Capital, I want to have a very honest conversation. Not to scare you, but to arm you. Because understanding why 90% of Australians will be relatively poorer in 10 years is the first step to making absolutely sure you are not one of them. By the end of this video, you will know the 3 forces silently destroying Australian middle-class wealth, the exact mindset shift that separates the 10% from everyone else, and 5 concrete moves you can make, starting this month, to put yourself on the right side of history. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most obvious one: property. For decades, Australians were told that owning a home was the ultimate financial goal. Buy a house, pay it off, retire comfortably. It was simple. It worked for our parents, but something broke. AMP's chief economist, Dr. Shane Oliver, confirmed in late 2025 that the ratio of average dwelling prices to average wages has more than doubled since the year 2000. Think about what that actually means. If your parents bought a home on 3 years' salary in 1995, the equivalent home today requires 9 to 12 years of salary in Sydney or Melbourne, even with 2 incomes. And here's what nobody talks about. Around 70% of Australian household wealth is tied up in property. So if you don't own property, you are being cut out of the primary engine of Australian wealth creation. The people already in the property market, they're getting wealthier by simply sitting still. The people trying to get in, they're on a treadmill that keeps getting faster. This is wealth inequality in its purest, most visible form. And it is getting worse. Let's talk about your income. Because here's a statistic that should make every working Australian furious. Between 2021 and 2023, Australian workers experienced negative real wage growth for nearly 2 consecutive years. That means even if you got a pay rise, and many people did, you were actually earning less in real terms because inflation was running hotter than your salary increase. Lamb and goat up 14.6%, beef and veal up 10.5%, coffee up 16.4%, electricity up 37% in a single year. These aren't numbers from a textbook. They are what happened at the checkout, at the power bill, at the petrol pump. And while real wages have started recovering slightly in 2025 and 2026, economists are very clear. The cumulative losses from those 2 years have not been recovered. You are still behind where you would have been on the old trajectory. The people who owned income-generating assets during that period, their assets inflated with everything else. The people who only had their salary, they lost ground they may never recover. This is the force that most Australians are not taking seriously enough. And it will be the defining economic story of the next decade. McKinsey estimates that by 2030, up to 1.3 million Australian workers, around 9% of the entire workforce, will need to transition into entirely new roles due to automation and AI. And a Pearson report found that by 2030, 65% of the skills required for existing jobs will have fundamentally changed, not be replaced. Changed, which means even if your job survives, the version of you that does that job needs to be radically different. Now here's the catch. Industries embracing AI are seeing revenue per employee growing 3 times faster and wages growing twice as quickly. So AI isn't just displacing some workers, it is simultaneously making some workers extraordinarily more valuable. Companies like Commonwealth Bank have already replaced support staff with AI systems. Telstra has publicly said AI will help shrink its workforce by 2030. The uncomfortable truth: there will be Australians who ride this wave and accumulate wealth faster than any previous generation, and there will be Australians who get left behind, not because they are lazy or unintelligent, but because they didn't adapt. Which category you fall into is right now largely still your choice. So what actually separates the 10% from the 90%? Is it income, education, connections? Sometimes, but more fundamentally, it comes down to one thing: the 90% trade time for money. The 10% make money trade for more money. Think about the average Australian household. You work, you get paid, you spend most of it on living expenses. Whatever is left, if anything, sits in a savings account earning 4% while inflation eats 3% of it. Your money is barely keeping up. It is certainly not compounding. Now think about the 10%. They work too, but they have structured their financial life so that a portion of every dollar earned immediately starts working. It buys an asset, shares, property, a business interest, that then generates its own return, which is reinvested to generate more. This is not magic. It is not luck. It is architecture. Research consistently shows the pattern across wealthy households isn't a specific investment, it's asset ownership. They own things that produce income without requiring their time. And here is what makes this so urgent right now. AI is about to dramatically lower the cost and barrier of entry to building income-generating assets. Content businesses, software tools, automated services, digital products, things that would have required a team and significant capital 5 years ago can now be started by one person with intelligence, a laptop, and the right tools. The 10% will be the people who understand this and act. The 90% will be the people who watch it happen. Which brings me to the 5 moves. Savings accounts are psychological comfort, not wealth creation. With inflation running between 3 to 5%, keeping money in a high-interest savings account earning 4.5% is essentially treading water after tax. The first move is deciding right now that every dollar above your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, is deployed into assets, not parked. For most Australians starting out, low-cost index ETFs tracking the ASX 200 or global indices like the S&P 500 are the most sensible first step. You get diversification, liquidity, and historically strong long-term returns without needing to pick stocks. The point is not the specific vehicle. The point is the decision to become an owner of assets rather than just a saver of cash. We will do a dedicated video on this very soon, and you will not want to miss it. But for now, most Australians are massively underusing their superannuation as a wealth-building weapon. The concessional contribution cap for 2025 to 26 is $30,000 per year, including your employer contributions. If you are not salary sacrificing up to that cap, you are paying income tax on money that could be going into a 15% tax environment instead of your 34.5% or higher marginal rate. This is free money left on the table every single year. And here's something even fewer people know. If your super balance is under $500,000, you can carry forward unused concessional caps from the previous 5 years and dump a large lump sum in, all taxed at just 15%. I'll break this down fully in the super video coming very soon. This is 2026. If you do not have a second income stream, you are running with a single point of failure on your financial life. The good news: AI tools have made starting a second income stream faster and cheaper than at any point in human history. Whether it is creating and monetizing content, building a simple digital product, offering a consultancy or freelance service in your area of expertise, or selling digital templates and tools, the barrier to entry has never been lower. Start small, start ugly, but start. A second income stream that generates even $1,000 a month extra is $12,000 a year that can go directly into investments. Over 10 years, assuming you invest it well, that is a life-changing number. Remember those McKinsey numbers? 65% of job skills changing by 2030. Here is the opportunity inside that threat. The people who learn to work with AI, not just use it, but genuinely understand how to deploy it, prompt it, and build with it, will be the highest paid, most in-demand professionals of the next decade. PwC's data is clear. Industries using AI are seeing wages grow twice as fast, which means upskilling now is not just a career move, it is a financial move. Set aside time each week to learn, whether it's AI tools relevant to your industry, prompt engineering, automation workflows, or no-code software tools. This is your competitive moat. Building wealth without protecting it is like filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Income protection insurance, a proper will and estate plan, the right ownership structures for your assets. These are not exciting. They are not the kind of content that gets millions of views, but they are the difference between wealth that lasts and wealth that evaporates at the first crisis. The 10% are obsessive about protection. They understand that protecting wealth is just as important as building it. Speak to a financial advisor, get your structures right, and then go build. Let me be completely honest with you. The system in Australia right now is not designed to make the average person wealthy. Housing policy, wage structures, tax settings, they predominantly advantage those who already have assets. That is not a conspiracy. It is just the compounding mathematics of capitalism over several decades. But here is what I also know. The tools available to the individual today to invest, to build income streams, to access global markets, to use AI to leverage their own intelligence are genuinely extraordinary. We are living in the most democratized moment in economic history. The question is whether you decide to use them. The 90% will read about this. The 10% will act on it. If this video gave you even one thing to think differently about, do me a favor, subscribe to Synaptic Capital, because every week I am going to bring you the clearest, most researched thinking on wealth, technology, and where the future is heading. And the next video is on superannuation, and I promise you, what I am going to show you will genuinely shock you. See you there?